Shaun Robinson, of course, is the Chief Executive of the Mental Health Foundation. Does great work, been there a while now. I think he's been crooked this week. It's been hard to get him because I don't think he's been too well. But he has got better, hopefully, today, and he's with us now. Shaun, g'day, mate.
G'day, Duncan. How are you?
Yeah, good. How are you going? All right?
Yeah. No, I'm good. Just got one of those spring colds, but other than that, yeah, I'm still alive.
Good on you, mate. And there's a nasty little thing going around too. So they seem to be, I don't know what it is. Are we getting older or is it just nastier? I'm not sure. But how's the week been going for you, Mental Health Week?
Mental Health Awareness Week. No, it's going really well. It'll be. Like last year, we had 2.2 million people did different things during the week to improve their mental health. So it's going to be hard to beat that, but we're always ambitious. So. We're up to the third day, and we've got lots of stories coming in from around the country of people and groups and schools and workplaces doing things. Got lots of people posting what they're doing. So it looks to be going gangbusters.
Yeah, it's really gained an awareness, hasn't it? It's been really successful in terms of the awareness around mental health. You go back 20 years ago, I don't know what the date would be, but I don't know, you know better than I would, but you go back some time in our history, and to even mention this sort of stuff you'd be they'd look at you sideways, but now there's much more acceptance of this and an awareness that hey, there are things wrong with people and they need to get better, and we need to help them get better. We need to give them space. So the awareness is great. Yeah, no,
absolutely. And I think the theme for this week is about community, and community is what we make it, and that's really come out of the fact that certainly in the last couple of years we've all needed community to support each other through the real tough times we've gone through. So. Not only COVID-19, then the sort of flow-on effects of that with the economic situation, but then the big weather events that happened, a year ago across the country with Cyclone Gabriel and the Auckland floods. And, we've been involved in supporting communities to recover from natural disasters for quite a long time now. We've been down in Christchurch after the earthquakes. And, what comes through really clearly, and we kind of refreshed this by going out and researching with communities leading up to this Mental Health Awareness Week, is that it is community that gets people through. That's what stops you despairing when your home or your business or your community is kind of covered in mud and washed away, or, the tragedies that happen with weather events or other things. It's people pulling together to get through that, people supporting one another. And the real danger time actually after something like Cyclone Gabriel is kind of now. It's kind of a year or so later, because at the time, everybody is jumping in and helping their neighbours, and there's obvious things to do. And it may seem awful and tragic, but there's a lot that's right in your face to do, shoveling out the mud and all those kinds of things. A year later, it's kind of the subtle thing is, well, things aren't going to go back to the way they were. I come from the Hawke's Bay. When I drive down there again, there's orchards that aren't going to be orchards again ever. There are places where people used to live, and no one's going to live there again. Things have changed forever, and that's when that can really start to get to people. So this is when we need each other more than ever, which is why we're really encouraging people to remember community during Mental Health Awareness Week, to reach out to one another and, just keep that mutual support going, because that's actually what builds and sustains our mental strength.
I think it's really, really perceptive, a number of points you just made. I want to pick up on a couple of them. Without these big disasters, like COVID's a disaster, and so was the floods and everything, and without these things, I wonder, when is that trigger point to get our communities together? So it's a really good reminder that we do have communities there, and they are only too willing to respond, and we've seen that, which is great. But you're right, a year after, 6 months after, what happens next year? I'm we disappear. We're not as community minded as previously we were. I remember growing up in the 80s, and I knew everybody on our street, everybody. And I still remember their names. I could give them all to you now, and we just don't know this anymore. And I wonder if the exclusion comes from, the isolation comes from, the social media and the fact that people link up online, which is different to linking up in person. And I just wonder. I reckon we've lost a sense of community, despite what you say about we come together during events. I think we've lost it in the meantime.
Yeah, look, I think community has changed. For some people, online is a really important and supportive community. So, online is not all bad, but definitely we do have a very mobile society. People move a lot. We have a lot of people who are new to New Zealand. We have a lot of New Zealanders that go overseas, so there are a lot of pressures that break down community, certainly as we knew it. Back in the day when you and I were whippersnappers.
Spring chickens.
Spring chickens, but community is also sort of a fundamental human need, and I think given the chance, we find ways to recreate it. But it's also something we need to work at. Like every aspect of our mental fitness, our mental health, we need to work at it. And so we need to remember to, today we're calling it Whānau Wednesday, so remember your family, your extended family. Do something to reach out to your family today. Tomorrow is Tuhona Thursday, and that's about thinking about the 4 out of 10 people in New Zealand who experience loneliness on a regular basis. Just think about who might those people be in your surroundings, either at work or in the place that you live or at your school, and maybe just do a little act of kindness to make them feel a little bit more part of things. We need to be reminded to work at our communities, not to take them for granted, to actually build them up and to keep working at those connections. It's good for us and it's good for the people we're connecting with.
What do we make then of look at young people, and there's a Cure Kids report that was out just in the last 10 days, and there's other reports and evidence as well, but that was certainly the most recent one, which shows that anxiety levels amongst our young people is up incredibly high, up 300% I think on 2010 levels, as is incidents of self-harm. And I just wonder, where's this come from? Is it just COVID and the lockdowns and their isolation, or what? Or have we been building in that way? And in saying that, where does it come from? And what are our youth suicide rates like?
Yeah, look, the negative trends in young people's mental health have been going on for a couple of decades now. So it's not just related to COVID. Certainly, our youth suicide rates are usually in the worst 5 in the OECD. So for young people, we definitely have an issue there. We have an issue with young people and mental health, and I have publicly called it a crisis in youth mental health. And I have called on Minister Matt Ducey to come up with a plan for how this government's going to respond to youth mental health and to mental health full stop. It makes me ho-ha, it makes me angry and concerned. But I also think that there are obvious things that we can do to help encourage young people to also be connected into their communities. It's when people feel isolated, they feel on their own, they feel like people around them don't understand what's going on for them. Often when they're going through times of transition and change, like going from school to work or school to university or training, or those kinds of change points in your life can be really scary and stressful, and especially in a world where jobs are disappearing and new jobs are emerging, technology's changing really quickly. We have issues around climate change, and again, those weather events didn't come out of nowhere. it's a pretty turbulent and confronting world that we live in. And for young people, that's a real issue. So, I think, I think we need to be supporting young people to have the skills, have the resilience, have the support to cope with this challenging world and this changing world. And those of us, that are not young people anymore, we have a responsibility to try to make the world better for the generations that are coming through now.